Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Josie's Point of View, where we focus on human nature stories from the Carolinas and beyond. Today's Thursday, and it's July the 20th, 2023. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to my channel, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you find the information here to be informative. And if you're a returning viewer, by all means, thank you for coming back. You know, I always say the tide changes so frequently here on these YouTube streets. So you always have to acknowledge where your support comes from. And I want you to know I sincerely thank you for your support. Feel free to like and to share this video. And don't forget to subscribe. And our story today comes from the city of Charlotte here in North Carolina. Take a look at that headline. And it reads 12-year-old and 6-year-old boys committed armed robbery. I'll provide you with a summary here, and as always, I'll place links to a few of the full articles in the description box. Well, I hope you're all doing well, staying cool and hydrated. And as you know, we're currently experiencing the hottest days on the planet. Can you imagine that? The hottest days on the planet. And in North Carolina, it is simply brutal. I can tell you for a fact I had the worst week of my life last week when my AC unit just collapsed and died and could not be revived. It had to be replaced. I had to wait an entire week before I can get a new AC unit. It was unbelievable. One night, the thermostat inside of the house was registered at 94 degrees, and that was around 8 p.m. But thank God I survived that ordeal, and I'll share that experience and some lessons learned in a story. I'm going to try to do a story time coming soon. So today in this video, I wanted to address what appears to be an alarming trend, and it has to do with very young children who are committing crimes. And you know, it's starting to make me question whether our values as a society are changing, whether the values we hold dear as teenagers, those that were entrusted and fostered by our parents, whether those values are indeed something of the past. Because the current climate has caused me to question whether something beyond peer pressure is causing these very young children to behave in a certain way and to commit acts of violence. And let me explain to you what I mean. Now, it was last month when I saw a story about a situation in the state of Georgia, and it had to do with this mother pictured here and her two young sons. One was 15 years old and the other was just 8 years old. Now, this mother was arrested after she sent her two young children to commit a burglary. On her direction, these boys smashed the windows of a convenience store and stole items. Again, this was done under the direction of their mother. And what they actually stole was not food items because they were hungry. They actually stole vaping devices and tobacco products. And that was just a few weeks ago. In fact, the date of this article was June the 29th. Now, needless to say, the mother was arrested and rightfully so. But the disposition of the two boys remain in questions. And you know, there is a question in my mind as to whether they're even going to be charged with an offense because they were acting at the direction of an adult, at the direction of their mother. But she was arrested, rightfully so. And then I came across another incident from earlier this week. And this is also coming from the state of Georgia. We had an incident where this mother, pictured here, and her 12-year-old stepson were caught in the act of committing multiple burglaries. Police say the woman is Brianna Rogers. Her age was not mentioned, but she's probably in her early to mid-30s. She and her 13-year-old stepson were arrested and charged with 26 counts of breaking into automobiles and stealing items. In fact, when they were caught, the duo were bloody from one of their most recent break-ins and had to be given medical attention. And not only did they find items that were stolen, the police say as they detained the 13-year-old juvenile, they also found a handgun, which was later determined to be stolen. This 13-year-old and his stepmother were out committing robberies, and they were found with a stolen firearm. So Brianna Rogers was charged with 26 counts of stealing from automobile and 1 count of possession of a firearm by a felon. She was a felon. So this was not her first rodeo. She'd been stealing or she'd been committing crimes in the past. and she has a record. The 13-year-old was charged with 26 counts of breaking into automobile and possession of a firearm and the commission of a felon. He was released to his biological mother pending his court date, and it makes you wonder where was dad, because Brianna Rogers was a stepmother. Not on, so where was the dad? But whether he was also involved in this type of behavior. Now, his dad was never mentioned. There was nothing that says he had any involvement. But I think it's a fair question to ask. Where is the father? Now, again, after the arrest, the 13-year-old was released to his mother, and let me say, the impact on this kid may not be realized for many years to come. We definitely don't know that family history, and now it. And we don't know how he might be affected by this behavior, but we also don't know how long this kid and his stepmother were out there committing crimes, and how that firearm may or may not have been used in a prior incident. And let me say, don't even think for one second that these young children committing crimes is a problem that's isolated to Georgia. No, no, no. It's everywhere, and it's happening here in North Carolina as well. So I want to speak about an incident closer to home, and it's coming from the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. Police say they have charged a 12-year-old with armed robbery, and it was not just him involved, it was also his 6-year-old brother. This incident occurred at an apartment complex in a Charlotte neighborhood early one Sunday morning last month. Police said the two boys approached a woman in the neighborhood and asked her if they could use her phone to contact their mother, and that woman did exactly what any adult would do. She handed the oldest one the phone. And now I would have done the same thing. These were young children. They said they needed to call their mother. Yes, I would have handed them the phone as well. But it was what they did next. What he did after he had that phone in his possession that has created a problem for not only himself, the 12-year-old, but for his younger brother as well. Now, once the boys had that woman's phone in their possession, they took off running. I'm sure this was entirely an unanticipated reaction. So the woman began running after them, and she probably was screaming as well. She wanted her phone back. Report says she began running after them, and she was most likely running because she wanted to get her phone back. Police say the 12-year-old allegedly pulled out what appeared to be a handgun and pointed it in the woman's face. Reports say he then allegedly attempted to pistol whip the woman with the instrument in his hand. 12-year-old. But he never released that phone. He held on to that woman's phone, and both boys then fled into a nearby apartment complex, which is probably where they live. And when the police was contacted, they confirmed that the two young children and their mother were no strangers to the police department. This apparently seems that the police department had prior contact with this family. We don't know why, but it appears that they did. And when police interviewed the children, it was the 6-year-old who eventually led them to the handgun, which, although it looked real, it was actually a BB gun. Imagine that. And of course, Charlotte Mecklenburg wants to use this incident to promote public awareness. They want to stress incident like these in general should never be taken lightly. It's not a game, and it certainly is not funny. They want the public to be aware that if that woman was armed, the outcome could have been much different, and it could have been a tragic case. One or both of those young children could have been killed or seriously injured. So the 12-year-old was charged with armed robbery, but the 6-year-old was not charged. Now, police say he's probably too young to understand the consequences of his action. I'm sure there was some additional measures taken, but he was not charged with a crime. But here is my question to you. Should that parent be held responsible as well? Should that parent bear some responsibility for the action of her children? I know what I think, but that's a question for you, and it's up for debate. And that's all I have for you right now. Feel free to leave me a comment below and let me know what you think about this video. And by all means, feel free to like it or to share it. And if you haven't done so already, I want to invite you to subscribe to my channel by clicking on that right subscribe button. It's on the bottom right hand corner of your screen. And if you click on the bell that looks just like this one, that's the notification bell. If you click on that notification bell, you'll be the first to know whenever a new video is uploaded. I thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.